In this video, I'm going to show you how I KITBASH this Ghoulking Abhorrent onto a Terrorgheist. So first thing I did was just kind of some dry placement fitting to see where the seat of the stone throne would fit. And then I went ahead and started cutting some of the bottom of the chair. Next, I went to the back of the Terrorgheist and started to cut off some of those spiny bits. And I went back and forth, just kind of dry fitting it to see where it would fit. Once I was happy with that, I started putting some green stuff on and trying to put this guy onto its back. I had to kind of reinforce it because it kept falling forward, and then I went and put an extra wrap around each side of the chair, as you can see here. And last thing I did was where I'm pushing in on the side right there, I added some little holes and cuts with an X-Acto knife to kind of make it look like the ghoul has been stabbing that part of the flesh with his sword. And then I went around with my color shapers and kind of smoothed everything out. Some pictures here, you can kind of see the finished look. Scratches and pokes there. And then just kind of smoothing it. I'm going to add some more green stuff to this later. You can see the chains. I grabbed 1mm jewelry chain off of Amazon. And I started to wrap it around the chair and the chest and the neck of the Terrorgheist. And then once I was happy with how it looked, I just put a little dab of glue to hold it in place. I used my metal sanding sticks, put a magnet on the end to kind of help direct the chains. That way I wouldn't have to pinch this little small chain. I can just use the magnet to help move it around. The jewelry chain that I got from Amazon came with these little O-rings, which I ended up, snipping a piece off and embedding them into the back to make it look like the chair was kind of like strapped into digging into the flesh, into the rock of this throne. So me kind of wrapping it around the tail end of the Terrorgheist there to make it look like it's really being held in place by all these chains wrapped around everything and just kind of locked in place. A little bit of glue, hold that in place. And again, just taking each end of the chain, just starting to wrap it around the different parts of the body of the big creature, and then kind of going around the top of the throne and wrapping it around there too. This is probably the trickiest part, just getting that chain to go wherever I wanted it to go. I've never used this before, and I was actually quite impressed with the effect of it. So anyone out there interested in grabbing some chain, I definitely recommend the 1mm. So of course this was already painted prior to me KITBASHing this. My customer had this painted already. So I went and just used some Gorilla Putty, stuff I typically use to hold the model down. And I just covered all the painted bits and used my airbrush primer to just prime around everything. I painted the stone with some sponging techniques, just using medium grays and mixed with some light grays. And then I tried my best to blend the flesh with that brownish color of the skin mixed with some bloody reds. I used Vallejo Game Effect blood colors. And I just kind of mixed some browns and tried to match as close as what I had with what was already painted on this model. And then I went with some Vallejo Game Effects rust, and I painted over all of the chains with that rust color. If I would have already had all this unpainted to KITBASH, I feel like the chain would look a little bit better. Some of the pieces of chains that were primed for me priming the model have a better effect than just a straight on from the silver rather than the prime. But there's the finished look. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.